Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast with J. Gordon Duncan. And if you're wondering why the J, the answer is, I'm not a bagpipe player. And if that joke doesn't make any sense, I encourage you to check out episode 0, where I explain that joke, as well as the purpose of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast, where we talk about faith, family, fitness, finances, and sometimes fun. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast. My name is Gordon. This is my friend Nancy Masannat. And we're gonna have a great conversation with her, but as always, I need to start by just saying thank you. You guys are incredibly faithful, listening, watching on YouTube. In fact, the 2 episodes about whether you want to make a change and also how to deal with online conflict and haters, just you guys responded a lot. So thank you so much. Last week, the episode that was published wasn't listed as This Is Gonna Hurt, but if you go to the YouTube page, I included my talk from our No Limit conference. You were at that, right?
Yep.
And so please check it out. I didn't list it as a episode fully. Shane Dale, our producer, who's amazing, was not feeling well and didn't have time to produce it and all those things. So it's out there. But today, Nancy, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Gordon.
We were just discussing, like, you've been on a bunch of podcasts. It looks
just
like
a couple, yeah.
I know. So Nancy has an incredible story. Some I know, and I'm always hoping to pull something out that I don't know, and that kind of thing. But where did we first meet? We met at 212?
212.
So-
212. We're in a networking group.
Yeah.
It meets weekly. It's an exclusive seat. But yeah, 212. So
That's right. That's right. So
where we
so
first
that's
met.
right. You were doing some early coaching with the company.
Yep.
And then when I jumped into 212, you and I became friends at that
Yep,
point in time.
absolutely.
It began with me telling you, hey, I'm sorry we did such a poor job. I think that's how our friendships, I think that's
so.
how it started.
I think that's how it started. Was so sorry, but yeah, we'll try and do
We
better.
didn't do bad. Yeah, we didn't do well. We didn't do well. And well, give everybody, those folks who listen to that podcast may not listen or watch mine. So
Right.
give us a background of who you are.
So, quick background. I was born and raised in Florida. There aren't a lot of those that live there anyway.
Yeah.
Fast forward, grew up on a farm, learned work ethic there. Both my parents were entrepreneurs. Got married to a guy who was in the Navy, got bounced up and down the East Coast, landed in Fredericksburg in 2003.
Okay.
At this point, I've got 2 kids. I've gone to floral design school and just looking to raise my kiddos. Well, it was probably 4 months after we arrived here that our son was diagnosed with autism.
Okay.
So that started that journey. Had hoped that I would go back to work when he started kindergarten, and that didn't happen because his
Right.
needs came above me going back to work. So fast forward, 2009, started a nasty divorce process with my ex-husband.
Sorry.
Became a single mom, 2 kids. Went back to work, but not doing something I enjoyed. I managed to last about 3 years at that. And
Okay.
then
Wow.
just said enough of this and jumped into Simple Joy Designs, which started out as events and helping people with a little bit here and there with their homes.
Mm-hmm.
I had a vendor space for a little bit, selling crafty kind of things, floral arrangements, wreaths, those kind of things. And then in 2020 pivoted into the home staging, which is what is keeping me busy now with Simple Joy.
Yeah,
But 2020 was also when I became a certified life coach.
that's right.
I wanted to use our story to help other parents. I feel like I've had a really well-lived life with the fact that his diagnosis doesn't consume us completely.
That's incredible.
It's not.
That's incredible.
It's not what our family is. We are a family first and foremost, and then he has autism, and we deal with the repercussions of that. But I've had a small business now for 8 years.
Incredible.
I can't believe.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's like it in the smallest nutshell I can make it.
So let me go back and hit a couple of questions. One, I didn't know. So was the farm how your parents were entrepreneurs? Were they entrepreneurs in another realm?
No, we so my dad owned a saw sharpening business.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
And did that for probably 25 years.
Wow.
Had a very thriving business until there was a construction pivot And so by that time he was ready to retire. And then my mother owned a landscaping design business.
Okay, so just but when you say landscaping design, what's different than than landscaping?
She would actually go in and plan out what you were going to plant and
Incredible.
design the beds and
Okay.
what you needed to do for the hardscaping and all that kind of stuff. So,
Wow.
So yeah, and they both came from entrepreneurial families. So,
Incredible.
So I'm like fourth generation entrepreneur for both sides of my family.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So it's now one of the things we do share in common is you were in floral design,
yes.
and my parents owned a flower shop.
Yes.
And so my parents were entrepreneurs as well, semi-successful. I mean, we ate.
Right.
I think there was tax problems at one point in time, but then again,
Yep.
I don't know. It was the 80s. Everybody had tax problems in the 80s,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So I grew up. I wasn't a designer, but I was the quality control. My mom would say, hey, come back, look at this. Is there a hole somewhere in this design? I cleaned a lot of graveside flowers, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
I've told that story in the podcast. We called it cleaning graves. And so it's just awful, especially when it rains and that kind of thing. But now, you went to floral design school?
I went to floral design school.
Okay.
The program I enrolled in not only taught me the design aspect of everything, but I had a week where I had to run the shop. I had to do all the ordering. I had to schedule the deliveries. I had to do that kind of stuff. And the shop, so we sold discount wedding packages. So we did anywhere between 3 to 6 full-on weddings a week.
Really? That's a lot of weddings.
A lot of weddings, like centerpieces, altar pieces.
Like we would do like one on a
bouquets,
weekend. That's a lot.
And it was every week. I was 2 weeks into school when I did my first bride's bouquet, and I was like, "You're kidding me, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember. I mean, I think. I mean, the smells of the flower shop are very distinct.
They are.
And it's not necessarily the flowers.
It's not what everybody thinks it would smell like.
So I'm sure this breaks every environmental law in the world, but my mom would have an aluminum cake pan, a disposable one.
Right.
Take spray paint, spray on it, and you take like a carnation,
and you would
color the tips. Basically frost the tips. And that's a horrendous smell. Like there's not. I mean, I'm sure we all just inhaled every carcinogen in the world.
Absolutely.
So there were times like yes, it smelled.
It doesn't smell.
But
like
it
flowers.
doesn't. It's not. Yeah. There's
anything
nothing
like
glamorous about it. There's really not.
No.
I would. I would love to see a reality show of a real working flower shop.
Oh, absolutely. It's
because
being up to your knees in stems. It's.
You're bleeding. You're bleeding all the time, and so.
Stuff, and I have scars on my thumbs from, because most people think, oh, you just clip. No. We use knives.
Oh, my mom had carpal tunnel. I mean, she had all those things.
Absolutely.
Did you leave that because you were dissatisfied with it, or was the circumstance at home that caused you to leave it?
Well, it was so after I went to floral design school, I went to work for a shop that we did funeral work, and to me, that was like the most depressing thing in the world.
Hard.
We were in an area where there were 75 retirement homes and communities, so I went from 3 to 6 weddings a week to 13 to 16 funerals a week.
Oh my goodness.
And it was just depressing. And so I made a decision that, okay, when the kids come along, then I'll look at doing wedding and party work. Well, with my son's disability, it just wasn't an option. I just didn't have time.
Sure.
And so every now and then I have to go buy a bouquet of flowers and play with the flowers because I do enjoy it. It's just I wasn't able to be. And holidays, you don't get any time.
Yeah.
Like those times that you want to be with your family, no, you're knee-deep in flower stems trying to get everybody's flowers done for their holiday.
We always found, you would think it would be Valentine's Day, but it wasn't. We found Mother's Day was the busiest time.
Yep.
And so literally my parents would work, I mean, practically all night long, and then they would finish really late Saturday, Sunday morning.
Yep.
And then my dad was a preacher,
and your dad had to go preach a sermon.
So at some point in time, my dad would have to leave.
Right.
Mom and all the kids would work there, and then we would trudge through church, and then I'll just pass out on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So
we hopped from holiday to holiday, so it was Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had Christmas, and then we had a little bit of a breather. Valentine's Day was
Mm-hmm.
not nearly as bad as those holidays, and then we'd hop right back in with Easter
That's right.
and
That's right.
and Mother's Day, and then Father's Day. I remember making like 50 fruit baskets at one time for Father's Day.
Fruit baskets are hard to make.
They are hard to make.
Because I mean, my mom always
Just-
said if it doesn't stand on its own, it's
Yep.
not going to stand when you wrap it.
Yep.
So there's this precariousness of assembling random fruit, and it has to
Yes.
look good. I mean, like I was just always impressed with my mom's
Yeah.
fruit basket, and they
Yeah.
were actually way less profitable
Yeah,
than you imagine.
They are, yeah.
Because
They're-
people they think it should be cheap, and it's like there's nothing cheap about
they're-
making a good
no,
fruit basket.
Absolutely not. And that's where I learned to do the gift baskets, because if I could make fruit
Yeah.
stand together by itself before you
So-
wrap it, I can make almost anything
So
stand in a basket.
that's your third business. I said you and I get along really well, Nancy. So you have Simple Joy, which is home staging,
Yep.
and actually also does decorating for the holidays.
For the
like
holidays,
a
absolutely.
local coffee shop could have you decorate for Christmas or something. Simple Joy also does Christmas. Like if you want, if I hired you, you would come and decorate my house for Christmas, tree and everything.
Yep.
Then you have your coaching business, which right now is focused on helping parents of adult autistic children or just any.
Any.
And then on top of all that, you also do gifting.
I do gifting.
Gifting.
As well.
And so I've definitely been a beneficiary on both of them. You've done gifts.
I've done gifts
Do I
for
have the
you.
socks on? I don't.
Oh.
Usually by random, I'm wearing a pair of socks that I got through you. And then also you've been a tremendous help to me
Right.
with gifting as well.
Right.
But coaching is very different because
Completely.
the staging and the gifting are very much artistic endeavors.
Yes.
And I don't want to say there's no creativity in coaching, because there
No,
is.
it's more artistic,
but it's
not.
it's a different side of the brain.
Yeah.
So sounds like it was built out of compassion.
Yes.
So you dealt with this today. How do you flip your switch to go from decorating a home, designed to sell? That's what you're really doing.
Right,
like
right,
you know,
right.
make
I'm
this
designing.
make this to sell.
Yeah.
To then being a compassionate coach to a mom or dad who's at their wits' end. Like, how do you make the switch?
I can't tell you how I make the switch. I just think it's my wiring. As I was coming here, I had a friend reach out to me. I actually just did a reel about making sure you've got people to vent to. Just because like sometimes if you can just say it out loud, you can let it go. And a friend who has needed somebody to listen reached out to me, and instantly I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like,
Right,
share with
right.
me. It's just, I think it's just my wiring, and I've
I
gotten
think so.
really good at the quick pivot, and I got to give my son credit for that, because
That makes sense.
chasing a kiddo with autism and trying to make sure his needs are met. I've got a daughter who's older than he is by about 2 years, so I had to make sure her needs were met. I had to take care of the house. Like, I got really good at the pivot.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So we've been fortunate to work together. You're part of the Capitalize Your Best program,
yes,
and which
and loving it.
well, thank you. And that's been a joy, and it really has. You've been the most consistent and thorough. I mean, you really have. But tell me, and then Tani, you've met Tani as well.
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
been
Tani's
amazing as
awesome.
well. What immediate impact do you hope if someone signs up for your coaching program, they have a child with autism? Like, what's the quick impact that you hope? Something they can read and they go, I can do this right now and get just a tiny bit of my life back. Like, what's a quick impact?
I think one of the biggest impacts for parents who are in that caregiver role is knowing they need to not feel guilty about taking care of them and wanting to live beyond their kid's diagnosis.
Is that a real problem? Like, the caregiver of autistic children feel guilty if they take care of themselves?
Yeah, oftentimes it's the self-care thing with that group of folks is, one, you're either so busy that you actually literally forget to take care of you.
Go all day without eating.
You can go, oh, I don't feel well, and then you've got to pivot and do whatever your child needs for them. So forgetting to take care of yourself, but then also when you do get that opportunity, that there's guilt. And then oftentimes I know that when your kids are smaller, a lot of parents don't want to find babysitters. They have a lot of trust issues
Sure.
with that, and I was always very fortunate and always made a point. I had 2 or 3 babysitters, always,
Okay, great.
so that I could call somebody up,
Mm-hmm.
and at the time, my husband and I could go and have a date, and we could have us time.
Right.
Because if we weren't taking care of us, we weren't going to be able to take care of him.
Well, how did you have that and so many other parents struggle with that? Like, how did you do that guilt-free? You didn't have your coach, it seems like. Like, what was it?
It was just a mindset, an intentionality, just deciding that his diagnosis did not have to rule what our lives were.
Mm-hmm.
And that has very much been the case. Like I mentioned, he has a sister who's older. When he was really little and we first started therapies, a lot of jealousy on her part.
Sure, that makes sense.
Why are these people coming to the house to play with Kyle? She was 4. She had no idea what they were doing. That it was actually work. And so that began the whole concept of, I've got to make sure that we are making sure that life is normal as possible, whatever normal is.
Right.
But that we had a normal life, so that she was doing activities, she could have friends, we could have people to the house, we could go out and do things as a family, those kind of things. And so often parents get so focused on that diagnosis that they forget that there's more beyond that.
Right. Well, so in what you've shared of your story, so I mean, you do have an autistic son. You've got an older daughter who at times really wrestled with jealousy, which would make sense. And congrats, looks like she just got married.
She
so
did.
congrats. So you've got those challenges. You've mentioned a divorce that sounded like it wasn't very pleasant.
Yeah.
So was there a point where you're like, F it, or what, or like, or why me? Or I mean, did you ever have those moments like, why is my burden this difficult?
I am not going to say I haven't. There are moments that are just there. Everybody has difficult moments. But one of my attitudes with Kyle has always been that we were given this journey so that we can impact and meet other people that I wouldn't meet otherwise. And I've just held on to that. Like
that's redemptive.
This is going to, because he has autism, I can then impact other people by sharing our journey. So,
and you're 19 years in now, right? Your son's 19? Is that right?
He turns 21 in December.
Okay.
21. But it's 19 years since he had the diagnosis.
Okay. So you've experienced the full scope of adolescence, puberty, and all of those things. Probably some victories of things where he can do himself and along the way.
Yep.
But you're getting ready to enter into, for lack of term, adulthood.
We're getting ready to hit the big scary.
So
transition out of school.
So I'm not asking you what are you terrified of, but like what are those things that people who've been ahead of you, like what do you think things that you think, okay, I'm gonna have to learn a new skill set because we're heading into 20s.
Our biggest thing, I don't think it's necessarily a new skill set. My biggest challenge is going to be finding what he does once he's out of school.
Like what to do with that time?
What to do with his time.
Okay.
He has been in the school system since he was 2.5.
Yeah.
So we've never, minus pandemic, we've never had, in summers, we've never had to fill his days fully with activities. So now we're coming up on, it'll be in at the end of May, he'll be done with school. And so I've been meeting with some friends, another friend who has a child that's a year behind Kyle.
Okay.
And we've been trying to think through creatively.
Right.
What can we do? What are some resources? Unfortunately, our area doesn't have a lot for adults with special needs that are on that younger side. Like, they do great until they get out of school, but beyond that, it's really hard.
Wow. So I mean, that's a lot of space in the day. Does he have a sense that that's coming?
He does. And Kyle is kind of unique. Many times, children with autism, especially as they reach those teen years and early adulthood, they have a thing that they enjoy. They like doing a particular skill, or they have a particular interest. Kyle,
Mm-hmm.
he would just sit on the couch and watch VeggieTales all day if he could.
Okay.
So that doesn't translate into a job skill.
Right. Right.
So so we're looking at a few options. He does help out at school with a couple of tasks, and he does attend an ABA clinic where he's doing the same kind of thing. So we're trying to find things that we could work on that could translate into job skills.
Wow.
So,
well, tell me, like, in your program, like, tell me, or really tell the listener who either has an autistic child or knows someone in that need, like, what is it in your program that's going to help them?
Well, I'm hoping that through the program we're going to help them reframe what their position is as the caregiver.
Okay.
Oftentimes we think as the caregiver that means we have to do everything. So you're kind of the captain of a team.
Right.
And how do you build that team? So that's part of what we'll talk about, is building that team, changing your mindset from being the exclusive person, not being able to ask for help. Because that's often a huge thing, is not wanting to ask for help. That's where that babysitter thing comes in. And then using some tools that I've learned through, not just through autism, but also with my business, being able to use some time blocking and those kind of things to be able to create moments for yourself. So there's a bunch of different components. It's going to be a 12-part video series.
Great.
Where you'll watch 4 videos. It's one a week. Not a lot of your time.
Yeah.
Minimal homework. And then we'll get together and have a coaching session at the end of each.
Fantastic.
Four videos. So.
I'm sure you did this kind of thing with other parents of autistic children before you decided to start a program. And was there a moment when you realized, yeah, I think I'm ready to start coaching people who are going through what I've gone through?
Yeah.
So what was that moment?
I've worked with a couple of parents, and when you can see the aha in someone's face, where they're like, oh, now I get it. Like, it is possible, and there are people out there that are living full lives. Right. And it's their child's life is better because their life is better as well. So that's kind of what brought on the aha moment.
I would imagine that would make sense. Like, if the parent's life is better, it's going to be a better life for the child.
Absolutely.
In the midst of tragedy or consequences or trials, we become myopic.
Absolutely.
And it's very easy to think that this is the only thing to work on right now. And of course, there are moments of intensity where that's where you put all your energies. Right. But you do ultimately fall apart if you don't find measures that are healthy for yourself. Right. I know self-care is a very attractive word right now, but like literally disciplines that keep you healthy.
Right.
Really.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
So what are yours?
So one of my self-care things is I get up a little early, a little earlier than everybody else, so the house is quiet, which doesn't happen very often.
Right.
There's nothing louder than an autistic child. And I'll have my coffee by myself and have some quiet time and read my devotional book and those kind of things. I try to make sure that I'm getting time with friends. I try to. But part of my self-care is also spending some time with my son. Like making sure that we get to go do something fun.
Okay.
So oftentimes, I'm the mean mom who, you got to get up and get ready for school, and you got to go to wherever. And so, like this Saturday, we'll have a date to Chick-fil-A. So,
okay.
So
is that a worry that you're like, I've been the mean mom too much?
It's not a worry. It's just I know with my son, he kind of categorizes people.
Okay.
And each person has their role in his head.
Okay.
And so teachers teach at school, and mom makes sure that all the things happen. So I rarely get to be the fun person.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Is that hard? Is that a loss for you?
In some ways, and it's those moments when this time of year, and again, it'll happen again in April, when I start watching parents posting pictures of homecoming and
Okay.
prom, and you see
Yeah.
those fun moments. Or I see a friend post a pic of, my kid just got their driver's license, and I think about those moments.
Sure,
And it's
sure.
like, we're not going to get that.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, I'll take my moment. I have my little pity party. I like to say it's a pity party. It's not a pity lifestyle.
Right. Okay.
Like,
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
You throw the party, you
Yeah,
clean
yeah.
up the mess, and you move on. And that's what I try to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then I try and find something else to focus on.
Okay.
So, we're going to go find the park that's got the best swing because he likes to swing.
Okay.
So
So I love that. So I've obviously heard of pity parties. I've never heard of pity lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have a
it's okay to
have
have
a brief
moment,
brief.
because I think if we don't feel our feels,
Mm-hmm.
like, they're just going to overwhelm us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have found if I just get it out of my system,
Mm-hmm.
if it means that I need a good cry or a moment, oftentimes I'll journal about it,
Right.
and get it out of my system, and then
Mm-hmm.
I can move on and we can focus on happy stuff.
Well, I was thinking about you today. So I'm off my run and I'm listening to a book, and the author created a word. And I thought, well, this is a good word. I can't wait to use it, but I wanted to ask if it applies to you or not. The word is pessimism. So I'm optimistic about the future, but I'm kind of angry too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm pessimistic.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
I like that.
would that apply? Like, do you have anger over the situation?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's more geared towards. So oftentimes people definitely underestimate Kyle. He's nonverbal, and when somebody can't have a verbal response to you, people tend to be dismissive.
Okay.
And so oftentimes people don't give him credit for the intelligence that he has.
Okay. I can see how that makes sense.
And so I kind of get frustrated with people like that, situations like that. And then in the process of trying to find what he's going to do post-school, everybody's like, I'm sure there's a program. Well, I reached out to a friend of mine who has a son she's fairly well connected in the community, and her son is probably in his mid-30s on the spectrum. And she's like, yeah, there's not much out there.
Wow.
And so
I'm
kind of pessimistic.
You're pessimistic about that?
The future when it comes to those kind of things. But I'm also one of those people that's like, oh, there's a need. Okay, let's see what we can do to fill it.
So your program, I mean, there are programs for children with autism, but yours is more focused on the parent.
Yes.
Do you find those more rare than even programs for the children?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
I think oftentimes I have a podcast I listen to fairly regularly that is done by a mom who's trying to give parenting tips, trying to walk you through your journey with your child.
Right.
And what does IEP look like? What kind of medications are there? Like what kind of, what should they do for screen time or whatever? But so often the parents are just left out. And I think I don't think that's intentional, that we've just not thought about that.
Right.
It's just that but I've seen in my own life, in my circle of other moms that came in to the diagnosis about the time I did, is there's not a lot of moms out there that are really able to thrive in their life. They're just kind of surviving. And that makes me sad for them.
I don't want to be overly stereotypical, but I would imagine the majority of caregivers for autistic children are more moms.
They're more moms.
More moms.
Oftentimes more moms. Oftentimes dad's already got a good established career, and health insurance is definitely a big component of being able to take care of your child. So he probably, he may have better health insurance or whatever, or she may have taken time off to get them through toddlerhood, and then you're hit with that diagnosis, and it's a full-time job.
And then if there is a situation in a divorce, I imagine almost overwhelmingly goes to the mom.
Yeah.
So
oftentimes.
Wow, that's a double burden.
It's a hard one.
So, but I mean, anybody who knows you would describe you as joyful and thriving, and so I'm sure you have days where you're
days. I have
I
moments.
think you and I had a day, I don't know, a couple months ago. We were both kind of angry, and we just kind of sat in the corner, being snarky with each other. And those days are fine too. That's happened too. I generally try to be joyful, but those snarky days kind of sneak in there on you. So
they do. But, you know, it's like the pity party thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have your moment and then move on.
I give myself a day.
Yep.
I do. If I have those days, I was like, you can have this day.
Yep.
But tomorrow, you don't get to have it.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
you know, it's not going to do me any good.
And I found that if I look back when I have those days,
Mm-hmm.
I've not slept well. I haven't been eating well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of emotional stuff going on. There's usually more than just I'm having a bad day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then,
Yeah.
if you can be more conscious about, oh well, I probably should go to bed a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Or I
Mm-hmm.
need to make sure I get some protein with breakfast or whatever to be able to function better in the
Sure.
day. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, making those course corrections in the midst of something before it really derails, gets worse, goes off the deep end or something like that,
Yeah.
which is one of the things your program's going to help with.
Yep, absolutely.
So if people are going to want to begin interacting with your material, how can they do that?
So I do have a Facebook page, Nancy Masannat Life Coach.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a page that is there to support the local autism community, which is Autism Parents of Fredericksburg. That's also a Facebook page.
Is that a page or a group?
It's a group.
Okay.
It's a
Is,
group.
is that a private
It is
group?
currently an open group, but
Open
I'm
group.
getting ready to move it to a private group.
I understand that.
But that's there to support local folks, get out local information,
Mm-hmm.
let the community know what's going on as far as events and those kind of things for
Okay.
families.
So when do you feel like you'll begin at least pre-selling your program?
I am hoping to start pre-selling in December.
In December.
I'm gonna push really
So
hard.
it gives
to
you
do
about
that.
5 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
About 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Pre-selling? You can easily pre-sell in 5
Yeah,
weeks. I'm not
yeah,
worried about that.
Well,
so,
I've got a good coach who's
so-
gonna push me hard.
so, but it's a hybrid online in-person. That's what
Yes.
it sounds like?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
there would be, and the in-person is one-on-one coaching.
One-on-one coaching, and we can do that virtually, or we can do that directly in person.
And is that just one person, or can a couple sign up and do your program? What do you think?
Absolutely. I could certainly have a couple participate
Okay.
in that, and that would actually probably be very helpful because then they're both on the
Yeah,
same
if
page.
it is a married couple, it'd be great
Yeah,
if they could be
yeah.
on the same page. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that makes sense. If you had the opportunity in 5 years to be the national proponent for health of autistic,
goodness.
was something you would want?
I would definitely be out there advocating for that group of kiddos
Yeah,
and
yeah.
adults because the diagnosis has only increased as time's gone by. When my son was diagnosed, he was 1 in 150, and now I think the numbers are they're horrible. They're like 1 in every 44.
That's incredible. That's a
So-
massive shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's probably a podcast for a different day, but that's a
Yeah,
massive
probably, but yeah.
shift. But if right now, if you think of, okay, who is the national proponent for autistic parent health?
Autistic parent health. I don't think there's. I can't think
Then
of
that
anybody.
then
who
that's
is that,
then
so
that's
I would be
you.
the
That needs to
person.
be you. That
That
needs to
needs
be the goal. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
in 5 years you're the holding
the
conventions and you're a
Yeah.
national speaker and your
Yeah.
book's been published and
you
that
go.
you're the proponent of autistic parent
Parents.
health. I
Yeah,
love it.
Absolutely.
So why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why
So
not?
if you felt like all this has been so you can meet with people and serve them,
Yeah.
that's definitely a worthy 5-year goal. Right now we're going to get that
Absolutely.
program out and start
Yep.
helping the first family,
Yep,
right?
Absolutely. That's
Fantastic.
The goal.
So finding you on Facebook, find Nancy Masannat,
Yep.
and then from there you can get them to the pages and to the groups
Yep, absolutely.
and to the program. And you're going to offer a pre-sale of some sort
Yes.
in December. Would
Yeah.
that be like an opening price or something
Yes,
like you
it
think?
will definitely be at an opening
Okay,
price.
okay.
So.
All right.
Not sure what that's going to be yet, but it'll definitely be
Okay.
a great deal. So.
So what I want for all of you, because I'm definitely going to point this towards the autistic parent community, is if all of you flood Nancy on Facebook, she's going to have this program ready
Yep.
by December 1st and begin making an immediate impact.
Yep.
So Nancy, what else? Anything else before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I really appreciated being here today.
Of course, this is a
Thank you so
blast. This is
much.
easy.
Yeah,
You and I are
yeah.
friends. Just sit around having a
around.
conversation.
Yep, absolutely.
Great.
So,
Well, I'm glad you're here. So, gang, everybody, please find Nancy Masannat. And, of course, when I share this podcast out, I'm going to include links to your personal page. Is that okay?
that's fine.
So I'll include links to her personal page in the notes, and from there you can find the pages and the groups. Not a website for the program yet, but there will be one eventually. And please, 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 if you are a parent of an autistic child, or perhaps even a child on the spectrum, correct, and just needing help, I know, Nan. Please reach out to her. Just message her. She's going to offer any encouragement and help and resources. So thank you. And everyone, thanks so much for listening and watching. It's been a while since I had a guest. It's probably good. You guys are tired of me just blabbing on and on. It's great to have Nancy here. And again, friends, you can find this. I'll post it on my Facebook page. It's on YouTube. It's on every podcast platform. And if you're ever interested in learning more about the coaching that I work, that Nancy has been a part of, or otherwise, you can always find us at capitalizeyourbest.com. But friends, thanks so much, and I can't wait to see you next week. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
How do you shorten the time it takes to buy a car? Car buying just got easier. Pohanka365.com lets you complete as much or as little of the car buying process online. Pohanka365.com. Car buying simplified. Anytime, anywhere.
Small business owners, you should be praised for wanting to grow your business. That's a good thing, and not everybody has the guts to do it. As a business owner myself, I know you've overcome obstacles that people don't even know about. Hi, my name is Gordon Duncan, the owner of Capitalized Marketing and Consulting, and I want you to know that if your business hasn't grown like you want it to, it's not your fault. If it's not COVID getting in the way, it's ridiculous things like changing social media algorithms. You're right in thinking that very few people are doing small businesses any favors right now. But Capitalized Marketing and Consulting is here to help. We've created a 90-day course that is guaranteed to grow the revenue of your business. It will give you the tools that you've been looking for, and as a certified coach, I would be with you along the way. If you would like to learn more about our program, just visit capitalizeyourbest.com and get started enjoying the success you deserve. Again, that's capitalizeyourbest.com, and I can't wait to celebrate all you accomplish.